All right, welcome to another DAP, Driver Assistance Program for the TCR. We're going to be in the Elantra N, and we're at Willow Springs. This is, I try to stress this every time, this is for people who are struggling to get around and get some consistency. This will hopefully get you competitive. This is not meant for the absolute fastest lap. It's really just making sure that people have good car control and you can lay down consistent laps, and then from there you can start tweaking on your setup and tweak the driving line to suit your needs and find some more speed on your own. So as far as the weather goes, this is what the track apparently is going to be at the start of the race. So you can see the times, got the date, got the temps. I don't know what this is in Celsius. Make sure that this is set up for static. That way you can always compare line to line, run to run, all that kind of stuff. Scroll down, pause it if you want to take a look at it. Jump into it. All right, so here we are. One thing is that the video has the hot laps, so you can actually see when I talk about consistency, etc. If you want to actually go see the laps that I ran to get the numbers that we talk about, they're all at the end here. So this first section is going to be all about the setup I'm using and walking you through the track and things like that. So the other thing is this isn't the quality that mine that I've tried to usually have, because I already recorded this once, but there were some issues, so I'm doing this a second time, so I'm going to go kind of quick. As far as the setup I'm using, I'm just using the medium downforce. This one seems to be pretty good. The low downforce doesn't have enough wing, and there's a long sweeper at the end of the track, and it just kind of gets too loose there. And even if you don't spin, it just costs you speed. So right now I'm going to be using the medium for this. I think most of you should be able to get around with this one. If you have issues with the high speed, getting the back end loose, then maybe go to the high downforce. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the fuel, and I'm not going to change any of the ride heights or anything like that. This still passes tech if I drop the fuel a little bit. 11.9 is going to be over what we're allowed, I think. There's no official yet, but I think it's going to be around 39 to 40%, and that should put us at 10.6 gallons roughly. And in metric, that's 40 liters. And you can see everything still passes, so I'm not going to be changing anything. If you find that your tire wear is a little too much on the insides, you can probably drop the camber. I mean, maybe it's a 3.5 or something like that. I haven't done a whole lot of testing, so I'm not sure exactly where I'll leave it, but I typically don't let the camber sit up this high, but I'm going to leave it alone here just to make so you guys have the minimum number of changes. You don't have to mess with the toe or ride heights or anything like that. It's literally just change the fuel. We're going to hop in this thing and go.
No damage, car looks clean. That was your fastest lap of the session. Just set your fastest lap of the session.
So just to talk about consistency here, you can see the first 6 laps is what I ran, and then I came in and I pitted, I think, on the 7, and I was doing some pit testing here. So the ones we're looking at are 1 through 6, and the average for those is a 23.515, and I like to be, I want to have all of my laps, be within about 0.25 plus or minus. If I can do that, then I know I'm fairly consistent. And the worst I have, let's see here. So the worst lap I had here was the let's see, 23.606, and that was still, what was that? 10th off my average, and the best I had was the 23.584. No, 23.356, and that was about a tenth and a half, so 16 hundredths to the good. So trying to keep these, 0.25 above and below the average. That's, my min and max are only, it's a very small range, and that's what you're looking for when I talk about consistency. All right, so we'll go ahead and talk about the track a little bit here. So coming down the front stretch, and we want to make sure that we're setting our break point based on something we can always see. So if you're following a car, don't use these lines on the ground. I like to use these poles out here, so we'll get up there. And the pole I like to use is when this gets right about to the edge of my screen, that's where I want to be braking. And it's just a very light touch. It's not a real, you don't need to be hitting the brakes real hard here. So I'm just going to put this in slow motion, and you can just see what's happening. As soon as I hit that, actually it looks like I went a little deeper than usual. Actually, I went a lot deeper than usual. I like to see my brake point is actually this pole here, the second one. So it looks like I didn't do what I was trying to teach you guys, but back it up until you're comfortable with this first turn, because what will happen is if you go a little hot, the back end might start to come around a little bit, and it's not going to spin you, but it's just going to bleed speed. So the other thing about driving this car is if the back starts to come around on you, you can, even if you're still kind of lightly on the brakes, just give it about half throttle, and you'll come out of that spin. If you take off the brakes, you should be able to definitely get out of that spin just by half throttle. Pretty much gets you out of everything with this car. So you can hit this curb. I don't like to, but you just kind of wait. The front might be sliding on you just slightly. If the steering feels a little light, just kind of back off that throttle and wait for the steering to get kind of heavy, and then you'll get through here. And you'll notice my knuckles. I'll watch to see if I do it anywhere else in this lap. There might be one turn where you'll see my knuckles get to 12th position. But I almost never, and I talk about this in other videos, how to drive the TCR, I almost never have my knuckles go ever past the 12 o'clock. So 90 degrees left, 90 degrees right is about the most I'll ever do. For this track, it seems like it's mostly about 45 degrees. So let's go ahead and get through this turn. Like I said, you want to, the really good thing about this track is it's got this, it's all rubbered in. I don't know if it's always that way with the track conditions, but if you've got this line, it's pretty much a really good driving line. I'll talk about the driving line later. I'll tell you right now, the driving line here is actually really good. The brake point's a little bit later than what I'm teaching you guys, but that's only because I want you guys to get comfortable with the car. But actually, I don't always agree with the driving line. I think some of the things it does is kind of strange, but on this track, it's really, really, really good, except for one point, which is a straightaway, which doesn't matter. You just run straight. All right, coming here into turn 2. There's two things you can do. If you have triples, I like to wait for this little porta potty to get literally to the edge of my my peripheral vision. The other thing you can use this, whatever that thing is. I've never even looked at it up close, but when this guy here, when that hits the edge of your screen, that's another good spot. And again, you're just coming into this corner, and you can see there's a lot of banking here, so you want to kind of stay on that groove again. There's this really dark line here, but you're just hitting the brakes gently to come in here. It's a long sweeper. All you're doing is trying to get the car to rotate a little bit, and after that, it's all throttle play. So you basically put your hands at about a 45 and use the throttle, you know, on this turn, since you're turning right, hit the throttle to get the car to go out to the left a little bit and back off to bring the car to the right a little bit. But you'll notice, keep an eye on here on the my throttle position here. So it's coming this slowly. You're gonna see I hit the brakes and how light I'm hitting those brakes. And then look at the steering. I'm not putting a lot of wheel into this thing, and the throttle. I'm putting very minimal throttle here. I'm gonna wait until this is just a feel kind of thing for me. I don't have a specific bush or anything like that I look at. And then once I know I can make it, then I'll punch it. If you have to, let off a little bit, because if you go off in this dirt, the dirt just kind of sucks you over there. It's not like a rear-wheel drive car. Once the front goes off in the TCR, it's kind of hard to get it back on the track. It's not going to spin you or anything like that. It's just wants to just stay out there in the dirt. So here, at least what I was trying to teach you guys, and maybe I went a little deep, but I would concentrate. There's 3 bushes here. Thinking it's this first one that I should use as the break point. You can go as late as this second one here, but for right now, just look at this guy right here. You can see this is, if this is my first one, that's 1, that's 2, and this is 3. Use this guy right here as your break point until you're comfortable. Make sure your steering wheel is completely straight when you start the braking, and you can trail brake pretty good all the way through until you're kind of up in this section right here. Once you get in there, that's when you want to be maybe a little earlier. You can start rolling on the throttle, but I wouldn't be full throttle until right about there. I'm going to hit those brakes, hit them pretty hard, then I'm going to ease off, and you're going to feel the steering here. It's going to get, it's another one of those things with this car. If the steering's light, don't hit the gas. As soon as you start to feel that front load up, that's when you can start rolling back into the throttle. Another thing about this turn is stay off these curbs. I'll have a section here in a second, or at the end of this, talking about the wheel damage. But this curb right here, even just driving on top of it, you don't even have to be on this back side in here, because I know there's like a lip, kind of like I'm not sure the S's or what they're called at Sebring. That back section before you get to the back straight, they got some curbs that are kind of like this, and you can kind of hook a wheel on the back side, and it can either get you some damage or hook you and spin you around. Don't even have to do that. You just touch these curbs and you get wheel damage just running over the top of them. It's like the dragon's teeth are too sharp for what this car can do for some reason. Okay, so there you can see I got my, when I talk about my knuckles being up to the 12 o'clock, this is as high as I want my knuckles going pretty much ever in this car. There's no reason to really do anything unless you're doing a U-turn. Try to stay out to the left here. I actually, for some reason when I was doing this, every single lap I was too shallow. I would actually recommend staying out here further. Out in this. Again, follow this dark line. I don't know why, but I was thinking about something else, whatever, but I ran it really shallow every time. Didn't kill me too bad, but if you come out here, it sets you up really nicely for a late apex to run down this hill, and you're going to need it because you can get a lot of speed coming out of this turn. So yeah, stay out here in this darker stuff. And then what you're looking for is, you're going to see these bushes here, but what you're looking for is this little hill. See if I can get right in here. You want to get your wheels right about there. You can touch the dirt. It's not going to completely kill you. But for the most part, just stay off of it. But you can see I'm really, really shallow here. I wouldn't take it this shallow. I will work on that. But you really want your right side tires kind of out there. Get those lefts out to there. And this is, again, you're going to see me touching the brake here. And it's going to be really, really light. You can kind of punch it harder on the throttle once you get it straightened up, especially going downhill. It doesn't spin the tires or anything. But if you've got this much wheel in it, do not hit the throttle. I should say don't hit it that hard. I'm going to open it up and I get that throttle opened up. And you do want to come all the way out here if you can. Because again, you've got this right-hander here. You want to set that up. Don't forget to get it into fourth. It's real easy to rev it out here because going downhill, it goes through the gears really, really fast. It accelerates really nicely going downhill. So get into third quick, get into fourth quick, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna. Right now, I'd probably start braking about midway, and also getting back into third. You can go as late as the end of the curb, but for right now, if you're just learning this, just try the middle here, or even start earlier up here. Because here's the problem: if you overdrive this is a real easy corner to overdrive, and the fronts will just keep sliding off, or you'll get a you can kind of induce like a four-wheel slide. The back will start to come around, and then all four wheels are just kind of sliding. You just bleed speed. So this one is an interesting corner as well. You have to stay off this curb. This is the second one. So turn 3, turn 5, and 9, which is the last turn. But this is turn 5. And this one right here is another killer. You touch these curbs, you're going to get wheel damage. And again, there's this really, really nice line. I know I sound like a broken record, but you can see this dark stuff right here. That's pretty much where you want to be, right? In the middle of all that. Now, if you are, as you're coming off this and you're a little bit tight, don't fight the car. Let it just kind of rotate and stay tight because you're going to be setting up for a right-hander. But if you go wide, as long as you don't get in the dirt here, it's also not a big deal. There's so much room to recover and set up for the next turn. It really doesn't matter a whole lot. You just want to make sure you do not touch this curb on the middle. Don't touch the curb. Don't go in the dirt. If you can do that, this turn is really not that bad. So you can see I stayed nice in that the rubbered up area. Don't worry about that curb. This seems to be pretty safe. I don't like to touch it. I don't really gain or lose a whole lot. I just get out of the habit. At this track, I'm just out of the habit of touching curbs. Now, the interesting thing about down here is you can keep it in fifth. In fact, in the hot laps I was doing, I kept it in fifth for the first half of the laps, and then the last half of the laps I was putting into sixth, just to kind of show you the difference. There's really not a difference in speed. You can start to hit the limiter. If you're constantly hitting the limiter because you're getting faster, then I'd go ahead and get into sixth. But for this whole section, it's just so much easier if you're learning this track. Just leave it in fifth all the way through, all the way onto the front stretch. You can get up to sixth gear here, and then going through the turn, you can also drop it in fourth. There's not a lot of time to be gained there. Almost nothing to be gained on sixth. It's more of like a fuel saving thing. But as far as the speed goes, there's no advantage of getting into sixth gear here. A slight advantage of getting to fourth. I think it's about 1/10 of a second, if that. To keep things simple, again, you're trying to go for consistency because you're learning this track, because you're watching this video, because you're running 24s and 25s and 27s. I want to get you down into the high 23s at least, or low 24s. If you're faster than that and you're already getting into the 22s, obviously this video wasn't for you. But you're going to see this open area on the left here. It's kind of this shape. It's like a turnout. You can see it's like that. For now, I would say about halfway is where you want to be doing the brake zone. So if you're in sixth gear, I'd actually downshift a little earlier, probably at the beginning of this, just to let the car kind of settle a little bit. Brake at the midway. As you get more comfortable, you can just keep creeping that brake point up until it gets to about the end. But I'd start with it right in the middle. And you're going to want to have minimal inputs on that wheel, and you're also going to want to be just dragging the brake just enough to get this thing to turn. Hit it too hard, the back's going to come around on you. You're coming here, watch the brake. I'm half, quarter, half, almost off the brake. Just very light trail braking, and then I'm back onto the throttle, and you can see I'm very easy on the throttle. I'm not full throttle yet until I'm confident I'm not going to go out in the dirt. I'm going to say it again. Stay off these curbs. This is the last one. This is turn 9. This whole area right here, stay off of it. Touch that. It's not as bad as the first two. The first two are pretty much, you ever touch them, it's instant wheel damage. This one here, I thought it was about 80% I'd get it. I think it's closer to 50%. I was testing it out earlier, and I could hit it about 3 or 4 times, and there was no wheel damage, and I was surprised that there wasn't. If you clobber, if you get in the dirt, and you do get on the backside of this curb, guaranteed wheel damage. But I was just trying to just run over it, and about half the time I'll get wheel damage just from running over it. So again, you'll feel this car the way it is. If it's light, Don't hit the gas yet. Just be very easy on the throttle. As soon as that thing loads up, then you can hit it a little bit harder. Oh, another thing. This cone here, I don't know what this cone is really for. If it's just to let you know, hey, there's a turn coming. But this is not the apex. I don't know if this is supposed to be like turn in or something, but you're turning in long before this. It's not the brake point. I don't know what this cone is for. I know it's there to like help people learn, but the apex is actually way out here. That's the spot that I want to hit. That's what I'm looking for. I want to make sure I'm well left of that, running this rubbered up area, you know, coming in like this. And then I want to make sure that my rights are still left. I want to make sure my right tires are still left of that curb. The throttle, once I'm confident I'm going to make it, then I can go full throttle. If you come out in this dirt, it's not a big deal. You might get a 1X if you go too far. Just keep your foot in it and keep that wheel turned right a little bit, and it'll get onto this asphalt, and then you can come back. And that's a lap around Willow Springs. All right, as far as the pit entrance goes, I'll walk it up here. You're going to drive it like normal, and then you're going to see the end of the paint here. That little spot right there. That's your brake point, and hit the pit limiter. Just slam them on, hold them, and you should be able to get it woed up to the before this cone. It's a little deceptive. You could probably go a little bit later, but if you're learning it, just make sure to actually look at when you're practicing. Make sure look at some replays and things like that to make sure that you are truly behind. That you're truly down to the 35 miles an hour or whatever that is in kph. You can see here I barely make it. My speed's still 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, and here I am at 39. And if I go over to a chopper, I'm almost there, and 38, and I'm crossing right about there at 36. I won't get a speeding ticket for that. All right, that's pit entrance. On to the driving line analysis. Like I said, you could pretty much just skip this for this video because it's pretty much this driving line is spot on. It's what I'd recommend. Except the brake points are later than what I'm recommending for you right now. If you can get the brake points where they're saying, I think that's actually about right because that's pretty much where I'm hitting them. So that's where I'm comfortable doing it. But I'll just go ahead and roll through this, and you can see the driving line is pretty much exactly what I said it would do. I'm telling you guys to brake here. I'm not braking yet. Shame on me, like I said. I'm braking a little bit earlier, but my normal brake point, like I said, is on that 2. So I'm usually braking about here. Maybe a little bit before they say. And then I'm just kind of rolling on. And then I'm letting off. And then I want to get in that pocket, and then I'm rolling back onto that throttle. I'm not full throttle, and you can see now I'm almost full throttle, and now, which is pretty much exactly what they're doing. Maybe a little bit earlier, but I knew I could make this turn. I'm brushing the brakes earlier than they are. They're braking in the middle, which I don't agree with braking in the middle. You can see this little red spot up here. I'd get my braking done early and then let it roll in. So this is that plant again that I was talking about. And if I draw a line across here, that's about it. If I'm using the edge of the screen, then I'm going to be braking a little bit earlier than they are. But for me, I brake when my screen hits this little plant here, which should be about where they say, which is right here. So that's pretty much where I'm hitting the brakes, and this is where I'm telling you to hit the brakes. So do that first. And this is one thing also I agree. This is one of those do as I say, not as I do. I'm running wide here. I really should be further left as much as possible. and they've got their driving line to the left, and that's actually where I would want to be too. I'm telling you guys to brake at the center. They're braking at the end. Again, I agree. Alright, so this is pretty much the only spot that I disagree, and it really doesn't matter. They're going left here, I don't know why. Just go straight. There's no reason. This car's not fast enough to do anything. Just run straight and put your rights on the white line. Now, again, I'm telling you guys to brake here. Like I said, the driving line here, the only thing that's I would say is that I wouldn't do for you learning it is don't try to brake as late as they are. In fact, I don't think I brake even as late as they are. It just upsets the car. I'd rather brake a little bit earlier and a little bit lighter rather than trying to upset the car in the middle of the turn. That's it for the driving analysis, or the driving line analysis.
You've got wheel damage. Car looks fine. No damage to report. You've got wheel damage. No damage. Car looks clean. You've got wheel damage.
Well, I hope this helped. If it does, please leave a comment and let me know if there's anything that you would have liked to know for the next video, what would help, or what you think is just a complete waste of time and that I don't need to do, because these do take a fair amount of time to put together, even on a crappy one like this where I'm not going to be putting a lot of time into the editing. Alright, hopefully we all have a good race. Alright, so the rest of this video is just the hot laps. If you don't really care to watch the number of laps here, then that would be the end of the video.
No damage. Car looks clean. No damage. Car looks clean. Establish a fastest lap of the session. Just stick the fastest lap of the session.